I still have some of the most valuable bookmaker accounts open after 3+ years of matched betting, and this system is exactly how I've been able to do it. Don't get me wrong, I've made mistakes and learned things the hard way, but if you employ this system, your account's going to last so much longer and you're going to be able to make so much more profit with matched betting. It's called the account longevity system, and it's how MatchedWise members optimize for long-term profit with matched betting. What the system is and isn't, it's not about guaranteeing that you're going to avoid every restriction on every account forever. Restrictions or gubbings are a normal part of matched betting, especially on certain bookmakers. Gubbings are just what we call restrictions in the matched betting space, I guess. The goal of this system is to focus on maximizing the profit per account over time. Some accounts are going to get restricted, but the aim is to slow that process down, protect your most valuable accounts, and avoid wasting the highest value accounts unnecessarily. As I said, I've been following these principles and I still have some of the big 4 bookmaker accounts active after over 3 years of matched betting. The most profitable matched bettors aren't the fastest, they're the ones who can do this for the longest time, or can do matched betting for the longest time. You'll probably hear me say that again. So why do bookmakers actually restrict accounts? They don't do it randomly, they do it based on your account behavior. So what are they looking for? The most important thing is positive value betting. If you're just spamming value bets, that's going to be a big red flag for them, and you're likely going to get restricted very quickly if you're not careful. Most matched bets are inherently value bets because the back odds are higher than the late odds, and so they're probably higher than the fair odds as well. So yeah, repeating loads of value bets. Another thing, an identical betting pattern, so putting the same things on consistently and sort of coming across like you have a structure or a routine, and potentially if there's something profitable comes about and you're putting something on that's maybe a bit niche and loads of other accounts are putting it on, that could be a red flag. Unusual stake behavior, staking weird amounts, is another red flag, and always betting the exact limits on, especially on high max things. And another one, doing linked bookmaker signups too close together. Some bookies share ownership and data. For example, in the premium group, it's pretty common for someone to say, "Oh, I've just signed up for bettor and I've been restricted instantly." And then I'd say, "Which bookmaker did you sign up to last?" And they'll say one of these 3, bettor, Paramatch, or TalkSport. They just signed up to bettor. And that's because these bookies are linked. You've got to give them enough time, like a few weeks at least between each sign up. It does say that in all of the sign up office guides. It tells you how long you need to wait, etc. And another thing bookies look for potentially as a red flag is long-term profitability. So if you're making money consistently and your account balance is increasing, they're not going to like that, because the system is crooked. If you're making money long-term or you're taking value long-term, they're just going to come up with a reason to ban you. It's a crooked system, but it's the game we have to play. However, I would say with long-term profitability, there's often too much emphasis on this. I'd say it can often be more about the actual behavior than the profit you're making, because it's entirely possible to be hundreds or thousands of pounds in profit on an account and keep the account open indefinitely. I've been able to do this if your betting pattern looks varied and non-systematic, so it looks like you don't have a system. Equally, it's possible to make little money or even be losing money consistently from an account, and if you're just spamming value bets and promotions, then you get restricted. So I think behavior matters more than profit on your accounts. Accounts are restricted when they look like you have a repeatable value extraction system. So if it looks like you're doing matched betting, then you're going to get your account restricted, so we've got to mask that. So what is the overarching goal? To look like a normal punter. It's the single most important rule of account longevity. Your betting activity should resemble a casual punter, not a system. They don't mind losing to luck. So even if you are winning money, if it looks like you're doing it by luck, then they don't mind that, but they do mind losing to a structured system. So if your behavior clearly shows that you have a system and you're exploiting promos, your account will not last. Everything below is going to help you to blend in a bit better. So what you shouldn't do and what you should do instead. First of all, avoid dutching between bookmakers. Dutching just means covering both outcomes using 2 different bookmakers. So on one bookie, you put on Harry Kane to have a shot on target, which has been a super boost. And then on another bookie, you put on Harry Kane to have under 0.5 shots on target, so you cover the other side that way. And this is just really bad for account health, and it's going to lead to restrictions very quickly, because bookmakers aren't stupid. They know why people are putting under 0.5 shots on target for Harry Kane, because there's a super boost on another platform. So instead, always do the back and lay method. Back with the bookmaker, so still put on the Harry Kane to have a shot on target, that's a super boost, but lay it on an exchange. So lay against that outcome on an exchange. This is what match betting is, and this is what we teach in MatchedWise. Next, avoid robotic stake amounts. So I think the Betway boost back in the day used to have a max of like £17.46 or something. And people that just used to always put the max got restricted so much quicker than if you put something like £10. So instead, stick to round stakes, £10, £20, £50, £100, and try and vary it if you can. Don't always bet the exact maximum, especially if the max is really high. Like if the max is like, I don't know, 1,250, maybe just stake 500 or 1,000, maybe something like that. Next, avoid spamming value bets. We've already kind of talked about that, but all match bets are inherently value bets. The back odds are higher than the late odds. So boost, free bets, bet and get offers, that includes promotions as well. They are value because you can make value long term from them. So if you're only doing these and no other kinds of bets or offers, then it's going to be so obvious that you're just doing match betting or value betting, or you have a system like that. So instead, we want to place dummy bets to mix in behavior. These are really, really important. And I've definitely noticed a big difference when I started doing dummy bets. My accounts have lasted for so much longer. So for example, some small bet builders on like just a crazy massive bet builder with like a 50p stake. Same with an ACCA, like a crazy ACCA on like 50p or £1 stakes. Or just some normal bets without a promotion attached to them. So they're obviously not going to be value. You can lay them if you want, or just, as I said, keep the stakes low, like £1 stakes, and just punt them, I guess, because it is really going to help your account health. Especially if you're placing a lot of boosts, you need to place more dummy bets. So if you're doing one dummy bet per week, and then you have a week where there's loads and loads of value bets and you're putting on loads and loads of match bets, you need to increase the amount of dummy bets you're placing. So yeah, highly active accounts need more variation in your betting pattern. So the whole goal is if someone were to look at your account from like Bet365, they would see like a mix up of bets. Yeah, there's some value bets, but there's also some like mug bets in there. You need to create that image as best as possible. Next, avoid sudden or aggressive withdrawals. If you withdraw everything at once, especially after a big win, after doing match betting, this can trigger potentially bookies to look into your account in more detail and ultimately restricts you and gub you. So instead, ideally, don't withdraw from bookies at all, because you can move that money to your exchange naturally with match betting. So you're putting on a bet on the bookmaker, you're putting on a bet on the exchange. If the bet on the bookmaker loses, the bet on the exchange is going to win. So you can sort of move the money out ideally that way. Obviously, it's not always possible. You might have to withdraw. If you do have to withdraw, try and withdraw in small chunks and space your withdrawals out over a longer period of time, as long of a period of time as possible. Also, something else I heard, don't know if it's true, but withdrawing on busy betting periods, So for example, on a Saturday evening when it's just been the Premier League, a lot of other people are going to be withdrawing then. So it's probably a good idea to withdraw then, rather than withdrawing £500 on a random Monday where there's no sport on. It's because if you do that, then potentially bookies are going to look into your account in more detail. Next, avoid spamming 2-ups too early. 2-ups are a great offer to make profit from, but often people think they are just like the same as boosts, but they're not really. If you don't know what 2-ups are, then first of all the guides are in Matchwise Premium where you can learn how to make money from them. But I would say don't go straight into 2-ups. Stick to the like phase 2 reloads, phase 2, the beginner reload, so boosts and special offers first, because from my experience, doing a lot of 2-ups does get accounts restricted very quickly. So use them selectively, don't spam them all the time. Maybe just mix them in here and there if you want, and then when you get further down the line, do more of them. But yeah, prioritize beginner reloads, phase 2 of the 1K blueprint. Introduced later in the account's life. Next, avoid obscure markets or leagues, pretty obvious. Don't be betting on the under 12 Vietnamese disabled netball and like putting on value bets on that. Like that's just so stupid. Like that's obviously a red flag. So just stick to big leagues and major events and try, if you can, again, no concrete evidence on this, but I found placing bets on the same day of the event is better for account health, because if you're like just a casual punter, you're not looking at some value bet the night before realistically, are you? So if you can place the same day of the event instead of placing the night before or something, most of the bets posted in the group are already going to be on big leagues and stuff like that. So in Matchwise Premium. So next, bookmakers versus exchanges. There's a big difference here. Bookmakers don't like matched bettors. They don't like losing money to matched bettors. They're going to monitor your behavior closely, and they are sensitive to withdrawals and patterns of putting on value bets. But exchanges like Smarkets, BetDAC, Matchbook, they like matched bettors. Like they welcome them. You can stake weird amounts, you can stake large amounts. It doesn't matter. They don't care about stuff like that, and you can withdraw or deposit as much as you like. They don't care about like that. The only thing potentially you might run into problems with exchanges is going to be like know your customer checks. So they might check your like finances and stuff, and that can be a ball ache, especially if you're like a student and you don't really have like a high paying job or anything. But we can tackle that when it comes to it. But in terms of like actually betting pattern, they don't care about what you bet on. They don't make their money the same way as bookmakers, because bookmakers make money from people losing money. They have the edge over people, but exchanges don't make their money in the same sort of way. You don't need to apply these sort of tips for exchanges, as I said. The only thing is potentially when you're laying bets on bookmakers such as Paddy Power, Betfair Sportsbook and PokerStars, try not to use Betfair Exchange because they're owned by the same sort of like sister, father company, whatever you want to call it. So use a different exchange. So next, the reality is some accounts won't last. No profitable bettor is going to keep every account. Some restrictions come down to timing, just like internal reviews, gub traps. You're kind of unlucky if you get caught out on a gub trap, but they do happen where a bookie will put out a very specific promotion that's kind of more a bit niche and would only really be shared around in like value or match bet groups, and they'll use that if you put that on as an indicator that you are doing some kind of strategy. So they don't happen often, so don't be too worried about that. But mainly it's just luck. Like a lot of restrictions comes down to luck. One person might be able to keep their William Hill account alive for 4+ years just because that's the sort of way it's fallen, and those are the bets that have happened. Maybe more bets have lost. One person might just be unlucky and win loads on William Hill in a few months and get restricted in a few months. But using these tips can definitely prolong the account health life. Certain bookies restrict much faster. BetVictor Group, so yeah, these ones, they restrict very quickly. Good luck getting on more than like 4 of their super boosts before you get restricted. And other ones like Boyle Sports do gub quickly from my experience. This is normal, especially on these sort of sites. Don't take it too personally. You're making money at the end of the day. I'd rather make £100 from each of these sites than never use them at all and not get restricted. So the real goal is protecting your high value account. So the big 4, 365, William Hill, Paddy Power and Sky Bet. These are the big 4. Bet365 is the most profitable one as well, but they're all really good. So a large proportion of match betting profit, I would even say like 60% or more, comes from these 4. The goal is to extract as much profit as possible from each account before it eventually reaches its end. As I said, that can be very long. Like I've been doing it for over 3 years and I still have some of these accounts still active and in great health as well. Damage control when restrictions do happen. Restrictions don't always mean the account is finished. For example, Bet365 often at the moment are limiting a lot of accounts to £1 limit on super boosts and £1 on 25% boosts. But if you have this limit, then you're still able to do the bet and get offers and make profit from those, as well as other promos like 2-ups. So you can still make great profit from them. Sorry. If you do get restricted, you can pivot to remaining offers such as 2-ups or ARBs, or use other accounts and adjust your behavior accordingly. Restrictions are feedback, not failure. Long-term mindset, this is not a speed run. If you can keep your account healthy for 2 years instead of 1 month, the difference in profit is absolutely huge with match betting. The most profitable match bettors are the ones who can do it for the longest time. The ones that understand account health, stay patient, and yeah, can do it for the longest time. Longevity is the real edge. Next up, in-shop offers, where you can make profit beyond online restrictions. Being fully restricted online does not mean match betting is over. There are 2 main routes beyond online restrictions: multi-accounting and in-shop betting. In-shop betting is a completely separate ecosystem, so it's not affected by online account restrictions. You could be fully gubbed by Betfred online and you can go into a Betfred store and put on some of the boosts in Betfred, or all of the boosts in Betfred. It's far less monitored, it's far less saturated, and often extremely profitable because there are a lot of great promotions, for example boosts, that you can only do in store that are really, really good and really profitable. So match betting can continue indefinitely using in-shop offers, especially if you're able to rotate between stores and bookies. Many experienced match bettors and value bettors continue using these shops for years and even decades after being restricted online. Like, I don't know if you've watched the 1K month blueprint, but I said in there that some people have made multiple hundreds of thousands of pounds from matched betting, and that is probably one of the ways that they've been able to do it, just by doing it for a long enough time, doing it for decades, using in-shop offers and multi-counting, stuff like that. That's how they've been able to do it. Are you going to be able to make hundreds of thousands of pounds from match betting? Probably not realistically. Like, most of you are going to make a few thousand, hopefully 10,000 and above. But yeah, in-shop offers, really, really powerful. And now the other way people scale or continue after restrictions is multi-accounting. Some people, first of all, I'm not telling you to do multi-accounting, by the way. This is just potentially what a lot of match bettors do, just explaining. Some people scale match betting or replace scalped accounts by using multi-accounting. There are lots of benefits. Clearly, you can rotate your activity between accounts, so rest accounts and use accounts, which is going to reduce the stress on individual accounts and make it easier to maintain longevity. However, there are risks. If you watch the guide video and FAQs, I explain what those are, and it needs a very specific setup, and in my opinion should only really be considered after maximizing your own accounts with match betting first. So always focus on keeping your own accounts healthy. So here we go, a little checklist. Stick to round stakes, place dummy bets, stick to big markets and leagues, space and monitor withdrawals, protect the big four bookmakers, and think long term. Don't Dutch between bookmakers, spam value or promo only bets without putting in dummy bets. Spam 2-ups or ARBs early in your account life. Withdraw everything at once after a big win, or rush linked bookmaker signups. Some final notes: this system does not guarantee no restrictions. It exists to make accounts last longer, avoid wasting valuable accounts, and maximize your long-term profit. As I said before, the most profitable match bettors aren't the fastest, they're the ones who can do this for the longest time. I hope that made some sort of sense. It is really important. The faster you can get to grips with this, the more profit you're going to make long term, the longer you're going to be able to keep your accounts healthy. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.